Well, he had huge success as the executive producer and the head writer of the hit series Entourage, but Doug Ellin is just beginning, and he's here to talk about everything he's been working on. How are you?
Good, how you doing?
Hey, man. A lot of anticipation about the possibility of an Entourage movie, and you're working on writing that now. Tell
I'm
me
working
about
on
that.
it right now. I was writing as I stopped to come over here to talk to you. I'm trying to write as quickly as I can, and hopefully shooting sometime in the fall, I hope.
How does it feel?
It's, you know, it's an interesting, there's different challenges to a movie than there are to a television show, and it's also, you know, after doing 8 years with these guys, it's a challenge to find new things to do, so, but I think we'll get there.
Wow. All these years I've been wondering where girls hide during the day.
I was watching Mad Men last night, which is one of my favorite shows, and they always do their things, which is somewhat how a television show works, how they do it in advertising, and it is that forcing yourself into a room, trying to come up with something is a very tricky process, because creativity can sometimes not come, you know? It's not like, oh, hey, move this box from here to here. You have to, you know, you have to really, really hope the inspiration comes to you, you know?
Do you thrive on pressure?
No. But
okay, so it's not related
although
to
other
that.
people say I do, but I don't enjoy it, no. But I definitely, deadlines definitely motivate me, you know? And, you know, when you're doing a television show, you have no choice. You have to move and you have to come up with something. And that's why you invariably see on almost any show the great episodes and less than great episodes, because you have a deadline and they have to come, so.
So many questions that people have about choosing the people that would make the cameo. How did you do that?
I mean, they would come from any number of places. They'd be people I meet that I liked. Like, you know, we had Kevin Love on early in his career, and he was just a rookie out of UCLA when we put him on, and everyone's like, why Kevin Love? I'm like, this guy, he's a great guy, and watch what's going to happen to him. And now he's, you know, on his way to the Hall of Fame.
I hear you want to make the jump into features.
We want to write something for Peter Jackson.
He usually writes his own stuff.
Yeah, well, we have a take on The Hobbit.
We want to make him a giant.
But you ended the show at a time, as we were talking about Jerry Ferrara saying that when he would go out in the public and there would be so much of a reaction to him that he wondered if it was too early to end the show.
Yeah, you know, you'll always wonder, but, you know, the fact that we're going to do a movie kind of makes it continue, and we'll see. It was definitely, you know, as a group of guys ages, it's harder and harder to keep them in Entourage. And when we ended the show, they really all were in their separate worlds and separate universes. So that'll be part of the challenge of the movie, like, why are these guys together? What are they doing? When the show started, I prayed it was going to stay on the air for a couple episodes. And when it started to really take off, it was obviously thrilling, but it was, you know, you just don't know. So as far as the movie, you try to do the best you can. You write the best script that you can, and, you know, I know we got great actors that I love, and you hope we put something together that people want to see.
And when the show started, there was a 1.5-year process, and it had a different theme. I heard that at one point it was kind of like The Sopranos and set in LA with a bunch of young
Yeah, it wasn't
guys.
necessarily a different theme, it was different, a darker tone, you know?
Okay,
it was a lot edgier,
tone.
you know? When I started out, it was, I was looking at Mark's life much more than my own. And Mark, you know, he's a tough street kid. And once we cast Adrian, it really went in a different direction. And, you know, it became much more, you know, Adrian's a much more softer guy than Mark is. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I think it actually worked for the show because he needed these guys around him more than a type A alpha male like Mark probably does. So, you know, we switched it up and really kind of went with more wish fulfillment aspiration, and we got to the tone that we started in much later with the darker stuff with drugs and things like that, and fights and other stuff. So.
Oh, you look familiar.
Well, Sasha just did Steven Soderbergh's The Girlfriend Experience.
Oh, I didn't see that.
How long did it really take to get the show from when you started to actually getting the deal?
I mean, till they greenlit the pilot was over 2 years from when I walked into HBO offices, pitched them an idea, till we were on a set was over 2 years, you know, and at least 50 drafts of different scripts with characters that, you know, that vanished. There were 10 characters when we started. We kept whittling it down to 4. So there were a lot of different things.
And oftentimes there's just that 1 or 2 things that really put it over the edge, that make it a hit, and the fine line between being a failure and a success. What were those things that you thought differentiated Entourage?
You know, well, I mean, one of the things, you know, that I'm real proud of is Entourage is really the first, as far as I know, television show that really worked being set in the entertainment business. They do them all the time, and they never work, even when they're good. People just don't want to see it because it's so insular. But what I really tried to do was make it a show about friendship, more than about Hollywood, with Hollywood being the backdrop, and I think people gravitated towards that, you know, but you know, I love the cast, so I think that's what, you know, really made it pop. They all were very strong individuals, and people took to them.
And you had some other projects leading up to this. I mean, a lot of people say, you know, how long did it take you to become an overnight success? But you had 3 movies. You had done some stand-up out in LA. You had done a lot of different things.
Around for a long time. You know, I did 2 independent movies that both were picked up by studios, which is, you know, one of the markers of an amazing success is when you take a movie independently and you get it released in a movie theater. I did that twice. Not necessarily proud of the movie Fat Beach, but
we just talked about.
But my dad called me up and told me it's still playing. 20 years later, a movie that cost $100,000 that I did 6 weeks out of film school with non-union actors.
What is the biggest challenge now about being in the place that you are, having had this success as a writer?
Well, you know, the biggest challenge is getting out of a comfort zone, because I liked being in a comfort zone. I liked doing what I did every day and sticking with that. So now it's, you know, starting over, new characters and new things. So that's always a daunting task.
Yeah. Well, man, I'm happy that you took the time to do this interview. I know you don't do many of them, but it was important for us to get you talking about this movie, man.
Pleasure.
All right, well, you heard it here. Doug Ellin giving us the scoop on the upcoming Entourage movie. Thank you so much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I appreciate it too. And with Doug Ellin, I'm Lee Hawkins. We'll see you next time.